Joining me for this special interview, my very good friend Bharat Arun. By the way, let me first wish him a speedy recovery. Bharat wasn't too well, and all of us were praying. One of our dearest friends back home now with his grandson, and that's what you want. You want to see him smile. One of the greatest bowling coaches, if not India's best bowling coach. Bharat Arun, a very, very close friend. So that's something that I wanted to say first. That very pleased on behalf of everybody associated in this ecosystem. Very, very pleased that Bharat is back home and perfectly fine now. Bharat, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you joining me. Test match just 24 hours away. 2018-19, 2021, Bharat Arun bowling coach. All of the drama. What does it take to bowl in Australia, Bharat, and bowl the way India did? Because you were there, you made it happen. Tell me.
No, Australia is a very exciting place for any young fast bowler or some good fast bowlers to be bowling in because the conditions are pretty favorable. There is a lot of carry and there's a lot of bounce, and off the wicket, there's always something for the bowler who's willing to bend his back. But on the other side, it's a double-edged sword. Bowlers tend to get carried away with the extra bounce and movement they get off the pitch. So one has to be extremely careful in being very consistent to be successful in Australia. Every bowler's length is different. I think the coach needs to sit down with the bowler and make him understand what is his strength. And with understanding his strength, the basic thing is to be extremely consistent in Australian conditions.
2021, rather 20, and that Melbourne Test match, Mohammad Siraj, the rest is history. What all did you all do? You and Ravi, what did you tell Siraj? Siraj was a revolution. Because again, I'm asking Siraj because he will have to deliver along with Jasprit Bumrah. I'll come to Bumrah, but what did you tell Siraj? Because again, Siraj will be very important in this series as well, Bharat.
Exactly. Siraj is a pretty skiddy bowler. And there's one thing which Ravi and I sat down with him and told him was that whatever it took him to be consistent in Ranji Trophy. In Ranji Trophy, he's been very successful because right from the moment we were drilling, particularly when I was with him, I was drilling into him the need to be really consistent. I said, Test match is no different. I said, you will have butterflies in your stomach. You are bound to be tense, but after the first few overs, you'll be fine. And just understand that you need to be really consistent with the lengths that you bowl. And Siraj did just that. That was the reason why he was so successful right on the first trip.
Somebody that we are talking up quite a bit. People are telling us that our reporters in Australia are saying huge chance that he might just get a debut, picked after just 10 first class games. You have coached Harshit Rana and KKR. Tell me about Harshit Rana. What stands out about Harshit Rana? Do you think he's ready? Your thoughts on Harshit Rana?
Potentially, if you ask me, I would say that Harshit is definitely ready. And especially tall fast bowlers in Australia would get a lot more bounce because they tend to hit the ball at a different angle. And Harshit has the ability to move the ball as well. So considering both that he has the ability to move the ball, he's pretty pacey, he's pretty close to 140, and his height, all of it works to his advantage. He just needs to keep his head cool and not get carried away. Keep hitting those lines which would suit him.
You've coached him in KKR. What stands out about Harshit, Bharat? Because to be picked after just 10 first class games clearly is something that tells you a lot about the man's potential. Why is Harshit special?
His confidence. One word, his confidence in his abilities. He's a quick learner and he has tremendous faith in his abilities, which I think will go a long way for any bowler to do well.
Jasprit Bumrah as leader, you've seen him mature. You guys were instrumental in picking Jasprit. I still remember that story going to Vishwarup days, Durga Puja, when you and Ravi called Jasprit Bumrah and say, get ready for South Africa. So clearly, all of us remember that story. Now he's captain of India in this series. Leadership, will he be okay? Big build up, Jasprit Bumrah, Bharat.
He's an extremely good thinker of the game. He analyzes the game pretty well. I still remember an incident the last time we played around when we played at Perth. Jasprit bowled a brilliant spell, but he didn't get too many wickets, and he didn't seem to be very perturbed by that situation. He said, "I'm just going to continue bowling well. Sometimes you do get wickets, sometimes you don't. When I get into Melbourne, I'm just going to stick to what are my strengths. Whatever I did in Perth, I would do. But what he did in Melbourne was history. He bowled a match-winning spell, and he said, I didn't do anything different. What I did in Perth, I did that. But the same thing I did in Melbourne, it fetched me wickets. I'm not going to do anything different. Whatever suits me, whatever I think are the conditions that are going to be helpful, I'm just going to stick to it. That kind of mindset, if we can rub that on to the other Indian bowlers have a lot of potential. And if they can, like the youngsters, what they did in Brisbane, they understood their strengths, they understood their limitations, and one thing which they did was just stick to their strengths, and that went a long way in us beating. If I remember right, I think the combined experience of the bowling team was hardly 4 or 5 Test matches, whereas Australia was nearly 300 Test matches. But what they did, sticking to their strengths, I think the same formula would help bowlers.
That was actually my next question, and I didn't stop you there. But when I think of Brisbane, no Bumrah, no Ashwin, Mohammad Siraj, Shardul Thakur, T. Natarajan, Washington Sundar, hugely inexperienced attack. What was the talk like, Bharat? And I'm asking this because, again, Harshit Rana, Prasidh Krishna, Akash Deep, fairly inexperienced attack once again in the fast bowling department in the absence of Mohammad Shami. So, what was the talk like then? And how do you kind of get this inexperienced attack together for you to deliver?
I think what really helped was we were all together for a pretty long time. And when we do speak to the bowlers, we all do it together with all the bowlers and constantly drilling them the importance to be consistent, and also not only telling them but them executing in the net sessions and in all the scenarios that they were involved. They were executing, and they were wanting to be consistent, and we had measurable goals to find out how consistent they were each time they were bowling. So all these things, when it came to the crunch situation, they understood what was expected of them. And one thing is understanding what is expected, another thing is going out and performing. I think hats off to those bowlers for having done that for the Indian team.
Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it is also about mental strength, because the other tour, 2020-21, was so much about mental strength. And if I see the kind of context, India was written off 4-0 after Adelaide, but come on, gone 36 all out. You all turned it around. Again, the context is very similar. 3-0 against New Zealand. We are not in the best shape. What is your take? You think these players are strong enough to turn it around?
I think so, because even the last time when we were all out for 36, we had a meeting, and in that meeting, Ravi said you could wear this as a badge on your sleeve. You can't go down any further. The only way is up for us. And but the most important thing is believing that we can come back strongly. We have done it in the past. Talent-wise, if I look at the potential of the team, it's brilliant. But it's a kind of belief. So we reassembled, and when the thought process was changed. So the consistent and the belief of the entire team that they can come back is extremely vital for them to come back as a team. This team has the potential. They have the batting. They have the bowlers who can, and the spin department also is pretty much experienced, and the fast bowling department, yeah, I would say a little inexperienced from the trip that we had last time. But again, It was the inexperienced lot that did the trick for India by sheer self-belief and sticking to their strengths. I think the same formula would work for them.
Two more questions and I'll let you go. One, Gautam Gambir, you worked very closely. All of us, I mean, Gautam's a close friend of mine as well. Man of straight talk. He will not give up under whatever situation. Tough man. This will test Gautam, but your thoughts on Gautam. Not the greatest start, but clearly one needs to back Gautam Gambir. Bharat.
Well, I would definitely one needs to back. If at all anybody needs to be backed, it is now. And he is very, very strong mentally. You're talking about the mental aspect. He was very strong. Whatever little interactions I've had with him in KKR, what you see is what you get. Very straightforward, and also very, very strong and positive. These traits from the coach are going to be extremely vital energy for the team to draw upon, and I am sure that they will be doing a good job in Australia.
Finally, Bharat, I want you to tell our viewers what you and Ravi did as far as Steve Smith is concerned, and this whole thing about Ravi Ashwin, how he bought into that formula and what really happened. And Saurav Ganguly in an interview to me said, "Play your best spinner, play your best spinner." Where does Bharat Arun stand on that? Is it go with your best spinner? And how did you and Ravi and then Ashwin bought into that plan for Steve Smith the last time round?
Ashwin is a very, very wily bowler, and also he would have done a lot of his homework on the Australian batsmen. And last time he was he bowled magnificently for us. Even in 2018, when we did start off, he bowled really well. Jadeja has his own strengths, but right now, my first pick would be Ashwin because of his experience and the confidence that what he did in Australia the last time around. So, knowing that, the question you asked about Steve Smith was, yes, we knew that 70 to 75% of his runs come on the offside, and Ravi's only thought was take the offside away from Smith. You bowl on, attack the stumps, not outside the off stump, and then have an attacking field, innovative field where you cut down his runs. And he is somebody who is used to getting a lot of boundaries initially. We said we are going to cut off that. If at all he has to get runs, he has to play X number of balls to do that. So finally, when he did get 100 in Sydney, he got 100 out of 206 balls on a placid track. So that was a big victory for us.
I told you I'll let you go because I know you're not the best, Bharat, but once again, insightful, clearly going into detail, something that stood out about you as India's bowling coach. For me, India's best bowling coach. Instrumental in the last two series wins down under. I wish you a speedy recovery. Spend some family time. You don't get to because you travel all over the world with your teams and outside of home and all of that. I know you're going to miss the auction, but I'm sure you'll be clued in and wish you the very best with KKR and in everything that you do, Bharat Arun. You're good for Indian cricket. Thank you once again for joining me in this.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.